Greetings and welcome back. Today's date is September 22nd. It is Wednesday. And the good news is you're halfway through your week. So another encouraging word to get you through, guys. This comes today from Stephen Charnock, from his book, again, The Existence and Attributes of God. And we're actually going to continue looking, as we did yesterday, at the holiness of God. And you might be thinking, how can this benefit me? Looking at just who God is, how will this help me? And it's because something I'm learning as I looked at the Pentateuch, as I looked at the tabernacle, where the tabernacle was set up in the camp of Israel. Guess where it was? The tabernacle was set smack dab in the very center of the camp of Israel. Do you know why that is? Because God desires to be at the center of his people, and he deserves to be. He needs to be. And when, even as a nation, as the people of God put God at the center, that nation prospers, it flourishes. And when we put God at the center of our hearts, our minds, we will flourish and we will prosper. And so one of the ways we do that is we think these thoughts, we think about who God is and his holiness. Because if we don't put God at the center, guys, you know what's going to happen? We're going to become self-centered. So we need to be God-centered. And this is just one way to help us do that. So today we're going to look at, again, the holiness of God and what it means for God to be holy. So let's dive right in. Our verse today is 1 Peter 1:16. You shall be holy, for I am holy. And this verse actually first appears in the Pentateuch. I can't remember exactly if it was Exodus or Leviticus. I want to say Leviticus, but either way, this verse first shows up in the Pentateuch when God is talking about his laws, and because his laws flow from his nature, who he is. And so we're to be holy and righteous as he is holy. So let's read. It says, the nature of divine holiness is freedom from all evil. God is separate from every shade of evil. He acts according to the likeness of his own excellence and abhors everything contrary to it. There is no darkness in his understanding and no spot in his will. His mind is possessed with all truth, and there is no deviation in his will from it. He loves all truth and goodness, and he hates all falsity and evil. He loves righteousness and has no pleasure in wickedness. He values purity in his creatures and detests all impurity, whether inward or outward. Holiness is the essential glory of his nature and is as necessary as his being. He knows what is right and must do what is just. There can be no contradiction in the divine nature, to know what is right and to do what is wrong. If so, he would not be, as Romans 9:5 says, God over all, blessed forever. He is as necessarily holy as he is necessarily God. He is without sin and without change. As he was God from eternity, so he was holy from eternity. From eternity, he was gracious, merciful, just, and holy in his own nature, even if there were no creatures created to receive it. If God had not created the world, he still had in his own nature the power to be able to create the world. If there never existed anything but God, he owned in himself omniscience and would know everything that was within the scope and compass of his infinite power. Also, he was pure in his own nature, though he never had brought forth any rational creature to whom he could manifest his purity. God is at liberty whether he will speak to man or not, but if he does, it is impossible for him to speak that which is false because of his infinite perfection and truthfulness. Holiness is not only an act of his will, but it is in his very nature. He can by no means be unholy, for it is against his nature to be so. Amen. Well, there you have it. Another look at the holiness of God, who our God is. And as we renew our minds, let this help us be God-centered today and as we go forth in this week. Amen. Again, I thank you guys for joining me. Hope this has been a blessing, and I look forward to sharing a word with you tomorrow.